Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to the reading of Dialectic, Spiritualism, a Vedic view on Western philosophy by His Divine Grace Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. Presently this book is published under the name Beyond Illusion and Doubt, and we are Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi. We're reading chapter 10 entitled John Stuart Mill. Disciple. Concerning immortality, Mill asserts that there is no evidence for the immortality of the soul and none against it. Srila Prabhupada. What does he need to be convinced? There is a great deal of evidence. It is mankind's misfortune that a person like Mill cannot understand a simple truth that even a child can understand. Disciple. Ultimately, Mill considered the whole domain of the supernatural to be removed from the region of belief into that of simple hope. Srila Prabhupada. It is neither hope nor belief, but a fact. At any rate, to those who are Krishna conscious, it is a fact. Krishna came and gave Arjuna instructions, and those instructions are recorded. Disciple. Mill was such a staunch humanist that he wrote, quote, I will call no being good who is not what I mean when I apply that epithet to my fellow creatures. And if such a being can sentence me to hell for no so calling him, to hell I will go. Unquote. Srila Prabhupada. God is always good. And if one does not know the goodness of God, he is imperfect. According to all Vedic literatures, God is always good and always great. What does Mill consider to be a good man? Disciple. One who works for what he calls, quote, the greatest happiness principle, unquote. That is the greatest happiness for everyone on earth. Srila Prabhupada. Can any man do good for all? Disciple. Christ said that no man is good, that there is only one good, and that is God. Srila Prabhupada. Yes, that is a fact. You may think that such and such man is good, but he is limited in his power. He may still think in terms of his nation or society. Only a pure devotee of Krishna can be good because he abides by the order of the Supreme Good. Even if one has the desire to be a good man, it is not possible independent of God. In any case, these are all mental concoctions, good and bad. One who is not Krishna conscious, one who is not God conscious, is necessarily bad, and one who is God conscious is good. This should be the only criterion. Disciple. But what of Mill's contention that the good gives the greatest pleasure to the greatest number of people? Srila Prabhupada. And what if the people are fools and rascals? The greatest number of people may say that cigarettes are very nice. But does this mean that they are desirable? Disciple. Mill distinguishes between the quality and the quantity of pleasure. Certain pleasures are superior to others. Srila Prabhupada. When you have quality, the quantity naturally decreases. For instance, ordinary people take pleasure in eating, sleeping, mating, drinking, smoking, and so on. The pleasure of Krishna consciousness is a transcendental pleasure. But the people who take to it are very few. Generally, since conditioned souls are fools, the pleasure that is most popular is the one followed by the greatest number of fools. According to our Vedic philosophy, man is born a fool, but he can be made intelligent through education and culture. Disciple. Mill advocated utilizing those principles that can give the pleasure of highest quality to the maximum people. He also wrote, quote, "It is better to be a human being dissatisfied than a pig satisfied. It is better to be Socrates dissatisfied than a fool satisfied." Unquote. Srila Prabhupada. But how often will you find the Socrates? You cannot find Socrates loitering on every street. There will be only one in millions. There is no question of the maximum number of people enjoying pleasure as Socrates did. Men of Socrates' caliber are a minimum. Wow. Very true. In the Bhagavad Gita 7.3, Krishna says, Manushyanam sahasreshu gashchid yatati siddhaye yatatamapi siddhanam kaschin mam veti tatvataha. Quote, out of many thousands of men, one may endeavor for perfection, and of those who have achieved perfection, hardly one knows me in truth. Unquote. This is not a question of quantity, but of quality. Disciple. Mill felt that the highest quality of pleasure might also be enjoyed by a larger number. All men should be trained to find pleasure according to this higher standard. Srila Prabhupada. This means that the maximum pleasure should be introduced to the maximum number of people. Unfortunately, it is not accepted by the greatest number, but only by a few. The Krishna consciousness movement, for instance, cannot be understood by the masses. Only a few who are fortunate can understand. There may be millions of stars in the sky, but there is only one moon, and that is sufficient to drive away the darkness. It is not possible to have many moons, although there may be many glowworms. Haribol. Disciple. Mill was trying to ascertain that standard of pleasure which is most desirable. Mill was trying to ascertain that standard of pleasure which is most desirable. Srila Prabhupada, that he does not know, that he has to learn from the devotees of Krishna. Ordinary men take sex to be the highest pleasure, and the entire material world is existing because of sex, but how long does this sex pleasure last? Only a few minutes. A wise man wants pleasure that doesn't end in only a few minutes, but that continues perpetually. As Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita 5.21 to 22. Bahyasparsheshvasaktatma vindatyatmanisa yat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam ashnute yehi samsparshaja bhoga dukha yonaya evate adyantavantah kaunteya nateshu ramate Buddha. Here the word akshayam means eternal and sukham means pleasure. Here Krishna states that those who are intelligent are not interested in transient pleasure but in eternal pleasure. They know their constitutional position. They know they are not the body. The pleasures of the body are transient and are sought by rascals. If one identifies with the body, he naturally seeks bodily pleasure. One who knows that he is not the body, but eternal spirit soul, seeks eternal spiritual pleasure through bhakti yoga. Disciple. Mill believed that a small amount of a higher type of pleasure is superior to a greater amount of a lower type. Srila Prabhupada, yes, that is our philosophy. In the Bhagavad Gita 2.40, Krishna says, Neha bhikramana shosti pratyavayo navidyate svalpam apyasya dharmasya trayate mahato bhayat. Quote, in Bhakti Yoga, there is no loss or diminution, and a little advancement on this path can protect one from the most dangerous type of fear. Unquote. Even if one falls down from Krishna consciousness, he still gains from what little he has experienced. On the other hand, if one works very hard but does not take in devotional service, all his labors go in vain. There are many students who come to Krishna consciousness for a few days and then go away. But they return again because the quality is so great. Krishna consciousness is so potent. Except for Krishna consciousness, everything is being dissipated by time. Everything in this world is transient, but because we are eternal spirit souls, we should accept only that which has permanent value. It is foolishness to be satisfied with anything else. Jai. So, tomorrow we shall start the chapter number 11, Karl Marx. Today we have completed chapter number 10. Thank you so much for tuning in today. The link to this book is in the description, and we shall see you next time. Hare Krishna.